this is Katie Arwood from the MCC Library, and I'm pleased to be joined today by one book, familiar faces, and true advocates of libraries and literacy in Montcalm County, Maureen Burns and Carole Cole. So Maureen, as such a reader, you've probably been a reader since childhood. What was one of your childhood favorites?
Huck Finn. Right, I mean, I read a ton as a child, and I read all kinds of books, but Huck Finn, just, I loved it.
What about you, Carole? What was a childhood favorite of yours?
I really probably liked the House on the Prairie series as well as anything, you know. They were so entertaining.
So, over the past year, do you have a favorite book?
I really liked, Beneath the Scarlet Sky by Mark Sullivan. I mean, it was a book that I probably never would have picked up and read on my own, you know, and so that has just stuck with me since I read his story. So,
What about you, Maureen? Have you had a favorite book over the past year?
I'm reading Alexander Hamilton. I only have a few pages left, and it's huge, but it is, I love it. I think about it a lot. I talk about it a lot. It's just like history is going on right now. It's not that much different, and they survived. It's just, and it's the one that the play came from, Hamilton. So it's just wonderful.
Do you have an all-time favorite book?
Yes, I have two that have tied. Gone with the Wind, and I've read it more than once, and I don't read books more than once, but I loved that book. I read it when I was in high school, and then when I read The Book Thief, I thought that ties.
That's a good one.
To me, The Book Thief and that are just...
What about you, Carole? Do you have an all-time favorite?
Gone with the Wind has always been a favorite. Yeah, always. And I have reread that one. The other one is Ayn Rand, a couple of her books, really. Still, I mean, I just think it's interesting that even today, people still talk about her philosophy and everything she promoted. And so, yeah, that's a favorite. And I've reread those too.
So, Carole, what about a genre? Do you find yourself drawn to a particular genre?
I like thrillers. You know, I've always have. I've really gotten into the Scandinavian writers. I love a bunch of them, and so I've always enjoyed thrillers. But you know, I read lots of different books. I don't necessarily stick to that, but I always go back to a thriller. And there's a lot of authors that do a good job of that. So.
Very good. What about you, Maureen? A favorite genre?
I love historical fiction. I love witty books. I love crime books. We share that. And I trust Carole when she tells me an author that I'll like it. And I can share that with other people. I like history. I like how-to books. It was my whole career was motivational stuff. I love all those. I just really like the whole gamut.
So in this big mix of reading throughout the years, have any authors stood out as favorites to you?
Well, I tried to think of that because I think of so many great writers, but then they'll have a book I didn't care for, but I love the others. But Carl Hiaasen, he never lets me down, and his books are total, ridiculous, foolish.
You laugh.
You laugh out loud over
yeah.
and over, and I try and read one a year because it just is so fun.
So Carole, do you have favorite authors?
The recently one I've really gotten to enjoy is his name is Ragnar Jonasson, and he's a Scandinavian writer. And he just, you know, they're all set in Iceland, and it's so interesting to me about what life is like in Iceland. And then the crime, and they have very little crime there. They really don't have much crime at all, but yet he wrote all these books about, you know, these crimes.
So, to wrap this up, I'd like your thoughts on libraries, since you're both readers and have always been involved in libraries and literacy in Montcalm County.
Well, I have been on the library board for over 20 years. We've seen so many changes in the library, and all for the good. You know, I mean, what the libraries could do in our county with the limited funds they have never cease to amaze me. And you know, it draws all kinds of people come to the library and get involved in like the programs, and some people it's a lifeline for them.
And I thought how people have no idea how much the libraries are used for so many different things, just so many. It's just wonderful.
Well, ladies, on behalf of every reader in Montcalm County, I'd like to thank you both for joining us today.